There are several universal tools and accommodations that are built into the platforms for both grade level and end of course assessments that support student success on these assessments. For students requiring accommodations, these accommodations must already appear in a student's IEP or 504 plan. Some universal tools, as well as all accommodations, need to be marked in the DRC portal or in Nextera for end of course prior to a student completing the assessment. There are complete descriptions and codes for tools and accommodations available on the DESE grade level and end of course websites, as well as linked in the escape room Google form of this training. It's important to carefully review the tools and accommodations prior to assessment to ensure that proper coding is in the system for students to be able to access these during testing. Read aloud can always be tricky for some people to know when is it okay and when is it not okay. Test examiners are allowed to read aloud all directions and items in any subject except ELA reading passages. And this read aloud of directions and items is available as a universal tool in 4 ways. It can be done through text to speech, a human reader, assistive technology, and instruction in a native language. A read aloud of an ELA reading passage requires an IEP or 504 and must be marked in the portal or Nextera platform before testing. It's important not to overuse read aloud for students who are not using it as part of their everyday instruction. Late editions of this tool can sometimes become a distraction or hindrance to student performance. Read aloud of the ELA listening items will require the download of the script, and this should be coordinated within the school building. Use of any of these accommodations listed in the bullets on this screen will cause an invalidation in that content area, and the student will receive a lowest obtainable scale score or loss score. If they use a calculator in grade 3, a multiplication table in grade 3, or a read aloud for ELA passages in grades 3 through 5, except for blind students who cannot yet read Braille. Use of one of these accommodations, even if required in an IEP or 504 plan in these 3 instances, will cause an invalidation as that accommodation changes the construct of the item being assessed. Please remember that tests are not invalidated because of student behavior or judgment of student effort. They can only be invalidated because of cheating or because of the 3 instances described on the last slide. Only the district test coordinator can invalidate the test, and any documentation should be communicated as soon as possible while the information is fresh in your mind. Several students require paper pencil for the test. This should have been reflected in a student's IEP. It could also be used for students who are completing assessment outside of the district, homebound students who cannot come to school to test, or when English language learner translation is required. Please note the proper coding of this accommodation code. Special considerations for grade level assessments or assessments completed in grades 3 through 8 might include paper, pencil, braille, or large print assessments, and those already should have been communicated within your building for ordering. Please contact the district test coordinator, Dr. Dow, if there are any recent transfers or changes to these needs. It's important to remember that all accommodations should be entered at least 48 hours prior to testing. Similar special considerations are in place for end of course as well.